Hello and welcome back to another video. I'm so glad you're here. On this channel, I talk about news, controversies, and drama on the bookish side of the internet, and I certainly hope you'll stick around. Full disclosure today, if you aren't interested in listening to me rag on a mediocre white man, then this is not the video for you. No hard feelings, see you in the next one. If you are interested, then you are in for a good one today. A male book influencer by the name of Squamer has recently come under fire for a now deleted TikTok in which he was offering his book review services to indie authors for the reasonable price of $1,000. And boy, did it get people talking. As people were getting riled up about this, more and more people have come out of the woodwork to share less than great experiences they've had with him. So naturally, I had to dig deeper and lay it all out. So we will get to the current controversy, but first, let's throw it back a bit. So I will save this for him. He has done a great job at keeping his real name private. The only reason that I learned what it was is because someone told me. And even though he sucks, I'm just gonna call him by his handle. He mainly goes by Squamer on the internet, and the PB apparently stands for pretty boy gross, but all I see is peanut butter, so I will be calling him whatever I feel like because I live to be annoying. So he started his TikTok in 2020, and his content was pretty much just what like any average dude in his 20s would post. He posted a lot about being into cars and motorcycles, but it didn't seem like he was really trying to do social media with the goal of monetizing or making it a career. He has a degree in physics and engineering. I think he has an MBA, and he was working as a physicist, which is something else that would occasionally come into his content. It's a little unclear if he's still working a full-time job, but you'll kind of see where my confusion lies in a little while. Now, I had never heard of this man until all this current drama started, but I will say that back when he was like creating content that was just kind of whatever, he was kind of funny. He used a lot of self-deprecating humor I usually find entertaining, and it was only after he found the book talk community that he really started to find success. So his first bookish post was on October 9th, 2023. And as mentioned, he has a motorcycle, and biker romance is a very popular subgenre in the romance category. So he did a Stitch video, and for some reason I didn't download the video, and I screenshotted it instead. It's not a big deal, but I don't know why I made that choice. Anyways, it is a Stitch with a woman on a motorcycle, and it says, "Me watching all the boys who bought bikes to get girls finally win because the bike talk boys got the book talk girls ready to risk it all for a few tattoos, some black clothes, and a helmet." And then it switches to this little clip of him sitting on a motorcycle with the helmet and the gloves, and he's just kind of like swinging his legs, and it says, "Me with tattoos and motorcycle waiting for the book talk girls." And that's where it all began. So pretty much immediately, the ladies went wild. Here are some of the comments on this video. "Book talk has arrived. On TikTok, we come in droves, but in real life, we're probably the shyest people. Right here, present. You need a little more black. Show off that tattoos and hang out in library/Barnes & Noble parking lots." And I know some people do some crazy stuff for content, but he sure did take himself over to Barnes & Noble to see if he could pick up some ladies. I think it's worth mentioning that he was married at this time, and while the relationship may have already been essentially over, his divorce was not finalized until February 13th, 2026. Now, my nosy ass was out in full force, and I did look up the court records, but like, I'm not gonna say his real name. I don't feel comfortable sharing like all of the details of that. So you're welcome to believe me or not. But hopefully if they were actually still together, that she was okay with him doing this kind of thing. You know, he's joking around, whatever. It's pretty weird though, and it only got worse. So his next TikTok actually saw him camping outside of Barnes & Noble.
Where are all the hot people? I was told that there would be all these attractive singles, and as far as I can tell, I'm the best looking person here.
And for those of you just listening, he is sitting on a motorcycle, reading a book, kind of swinging his leg, looking at his watch, and the text on screen is someone's reply to his previous video that says, yeah, that doesn't look like a Barnes & Noble parking lot at all. Try using GPS. And then he's written underneath it, like, check, like, tattoos, check, motorcycle, check, Barnes & Noble, check, book talk woman, X. So at this point, okay, it's still kind of funny. And again, woman on book talk, feeding into it. We have comments like, from a book talk girly, find the table either literally labeled #BookTalkReads or with a sign that has a chili pepper on it and wait. It's like spicy fishing. And someone said, agreed, need to look for the chili pepper sign. By the way, which stores exactly did he go to? I'm willing to travel. Honestly, I wish I knew, 'cause same. Yep, that's the only books I'm reading right now. Someone else said, are you taking requests of where to go next? He said, if it gives more content, would love to hear it. And then someone said local bookstore, and you know. And then what do you know? He really committed to the bit, because then he went inside the store with his helmet.
Carry helmet inside. Okay. Find the romance and fantasy section. Okay. Okay, I found it. Now what? Because I don't know what I'm looking for. Where am I supposed to stand? Am I just supposed to look confused? Well. Okay, there's nothing in the romance. I'm gonna try fantasy. I'm gonna need a new recommendation because I don't see anything. Okay, still nothing. I'm back on the bike. No one there. Where should I go next?
So, I mean, if I saw this man looking like that in the romance section, you know, glancing around like he didn't know how he got there, I would just think he was waiting for someone. But you get the idea. He was eating this shit up, and for the most part, the comments were just stroking his ego. And, well, that's not like automatically bad. It went straight to his head, and he realized that perhaps he could capitalize on the interest in this little series of his. So he continued his content, but really started leaning into the book talk thirst traps and just general attention seeking. In December of 2023, just 2 months after he came onto the book talk scene, he was already seeing this as a potential source of income.
You know, sometimes I think it would be cool to be a full-time TikToker, but no. So a couple of days ago, I had really good views. My videos did really well. They were all over a minute, and I made $300 in a day. Sick, right? That's awesome. Every day since then, I have made under $20. I cannot even like imagine how stressful that would be. Like, you have to pay bills, and your only source of income is making people go tee hee. Like, that sounds so stressful. Like, I don't think I could do that. I like, I do it now as like a side gig, but you know, I'm still an engineer, so like that works. I would have to consistently be really good and make really good content. Like, how do you even explain that to a bill collector? It's like, yeah, I'm just not getting views right now. So if you could come back later, I have some really good shit coming out. And they're just gonna be like, no, pay us now.
So that's actually not exclusive to content creators. Anyone who owns a business or works as a freelancer knows how this works. Totally valid concern, to be fair, but at this point he had 2 months of making content that was getting traction, so it's pretty far from it being advisable to go full-time at it. And again, to be fair, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this video, I'm just using it to show how much he was already hyper-focused on the money side of things, but then he said the quiet part out loud.
I do TikToks because I want to. I used to do TikToks because I want to. I still enjoy it sometimes. Sometimes I have a really good idea, or I really like making the content. The bike talk content I really enjoy. The only thing is it takes a lot of time. Like, not a lot of time, but it takes me time to get on my bike, think of content, go to the location, stuff like that. which really in itself doesn't sound that bad, right? It's the fact that the TikTok algorithm rewards the more you post, not so much quality, but just quantity. Most of the time, most creators recommend you post 4 times a day. Usually I do 3, but 4 times a day. So it's reached the point now where I do get paid for it. Like my videos are over a minute long. I get paid for it. This month I'm averaging around $1,800, which is fantastic. I severely need it. Student loans are absolutely killing me right now, and I severely need the money. But it is quickly turned into a job, and a lot of the content I make is kind of meh. Just kind of meh. Like I think one of my videos like a day, I'm like, that was a good video. The rest I'm like, all right, I just kind of have to fill it. So when the book talk thing came out though, and I was posting like 3 or 4 times a day, all book talk stuff, I was enjoying that a lot. But I'm so, like 4 different types of videos a day, kind of running out of ideas. So
he really did, and still does, post a ton. So I'm obviously going to be showing only a select few, but most of what he posted centered around women, motorcycles, random little anecdotes, and a lot of fishing for compliments, and often by putting himself down, which, like I said, I think that self-deprecating humor can definitely be entertaining. But we've crossed to a different territory. Here is an example.
you know what one of my favorite thing is? I go to the gym frequently, right? Somebody was talking to me. They're like, oh man, do you have good abs? And like, honestly, they're there. If I flex super hard, they're there, right? They're not great. And I was telling someone, I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, like women only care about the abs. And I was like, nah, man, they care about these. And he was like, what? I was like, your shoulders for whatever reason. He's like, that's what you care about, shoulders, and for whatever reason, the back muscles. And he was like, that's why. And I was like, I don't know, man. And he's like, how do you know this? And I was like, well, I have a weird amount of like women followers all of a sudden from Book Talk. And he was like, okay. And I was like, yeah. And anytime I do shirtless stuff, the only thing that I get complicated is my freaking shoulder muscles, which admittedly are probably my strongest muscle. And I think it's because it just makes it easier to throw people around. Because like abs are cool looking, but they're not that functional. Like if you want to put something in the air, you need back and shoulder muscles. That's what you can lift and throw things around with.
Slight note, as a fitness instructor myself, I'm gonna say that actually your ab muscles are incredibly important to everything you do. Yes, I am making assumptions about his intentions, but like, come on. You don't make a video like that if you aren't looking for some validation. And he just continued to get it. So why would he stop making this kind of content? So next he joined Snapchat. And I didn't even think there was a way to be like an influencer on Snapchat. I thought you just like sent pictures to your friends, which I never got into Snapchat even in like 10 years ago. But anyways, just watch this video.
All right, it's official. Snapchat fucking hates me, and I don't know what to do about it. Like, I really don't. So I started Snapchat because a bunch of people that I follow are like, get on Snapchat because they pay you money if you get popular enough. I haven't made any money. I just started like a week and a half ago. I only have like a couple thousand followers, right? But I actually am getting fairly good views. But every time one of my videos gets really popular, they just take it down. Like, look! There's so freaking many. My tattoo tour had several thousand. I think at one point I hit 60,000 on one of these. I can't remember which one. And then Snapchat was like, hey, no. The complaints have been I'm trying to sell something. I'm not trying to sell anything. Myself, I guess. I'm trying to get people to watch me so I can make money. But I wouldn't call that selling. It's not commercial items. And I keep... Like, I appeal it, like, I press the button, I hit the appeal button, but it's been a few days, and I appealed some of these, like, days ago, and I haven't heard anything back. And it's just like, I mean, I'm gonna make them anyways, because, you know, on TikTok I get views and stuff like that, so it just takes me an extra, I don't know, minute and a half-ish to post on Snapchat the stuff I make anyways, so, like, I'm not too upset about it, but what the hell? Also, if you could go follow me on Snapchat, the link's in my bio, or just Squamer1.
Sorry, I'm just showing you so many of his TikToks right in a row, but like, he's a TikToker, so that's what I gotta do. So, by the end of January, he thinks he needs a manager, and maybe he does. But Wait for it.
Well, we've reached a point I never thought I'd reach, but here we are. I think I need a manager. Like either a person or a company that I can work with to help me with the business side of content creation. Mainly because I don't know how to do it. And I don't really have the time to invest in it. Like the content part's fine. I love making it. I think of ideas all the time. ADHD brain, 10 out of 10 for thinking of new ideas. But I don't know how to get in contact with companies or like meet other influencers to make content with. I'd love to do that. And I'd also like to have a brand deal, not with like a giant company. Like I don't expect Nike to come knocking, but I would like, I average like 1 million views a week on my videos, and I'm gaining 1,000, 2,000 followers a week. I would say I'm growing, and I would like a company or a brand that is kind of similar. Like they're looking for influencers that they don't have to pay millions of dollars for. And they can work with me. And the other thing is, and this is the bigger one, honestly, is that I would like to have brand deals that are relevant to my content. I can't handle TikTok's notification of being like, hey, some crappy Chinese company wants you to sell makeup brushes again. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. When I have a brand deal, I want my followers to be like, oh, that's relevant to us, thank you. And I feel like I have kind of a diverse thing. I could do a few things. I could do motorcycles, I could do tattoos, I could do book talk, I could do the gym, like I could do any of those. I could even do fashion. It could be like, you're learning. You don't really know what you're doing, but you're trying, because that's what I'm doing. It could be jewelry, because like, obviously, I'm trying to step up my jewelry game, but this is an $8 Witcher necklace. I don't think like this is like really, this isn't doing great, but I'm trying. Or I could be on a book cover for romance or whatever you want, because that's relevant. I'm on Book Talk. I think I am not probably the face of Book Talk, but one of them. And I don't know how to make those connections, and I need help. But the other thing is, I don't know how to make that connection. I don't know how to find a manager or a content creator. And don't just flood my DMs, be like, I can help you. No, I need like someone that's like their whole job. So I'm gonna start looking. If anybody has any advice, keep in mind, I live in Maryland, not LA, not Miami, not New York, not any of the exciting cities, Maryland. But if you know of a company or a group that I should reach out to, please let me know, because that would be super helpful. Or if you are one, my Instagram DMs are open. You can also message me on TikTok, but the filter kind of sucks sometimes.
Maybe it's just a different platform, but like, make good content and it will happen. I think that from personal experience that if you make good content, you will have opportunities and people wanting to represent you because they think you have something valuable to offer that they can also benefit from. Gonna leave it there. Anyhow, he really said he might not be the face of Book Talk, but he is one of the faces of Book Talk. Boy, have a seat. You've been on Book Talk for less than 5 months at this point. Calm your ass down. So the next money-making ploy he has, merch. You might be wondering, what could he possibly be putting on merch? He doesn't make art. He doesn't have like a catchphrase or any kind of like cutesy whatsy whatever. What could it be? Let me show you. So he's got this shirt that says, my current hyperfixation, book boyfriends with big wingspans. And it has some wings. Neat. That will set you back $24. He also has a shirt for $29 that says on the front, community service, and on the back says, save a bike, ride a biker, with a clip art picture of a motorcycle. And like, I guess it could be like someone's actual like good artwork, but the quality, terrible. You can tell that it's a motorcycle, but like it's not, it doesn't look good. For $24, you can get a shirt that says Book Talk Made Me Do It, with some books, a candle, and like guys, this is so like just low quality whatever. This one says, read the back of my shirt. And then the back says, good girl. This is absolutely nothing most people would pay for, although I'm sure people have. And then he decides he wants to start a YouTube channel, and I will give you one guess on his motivation.
Okay, I'm making this video for probably the 10th time. But I really, really want to break into YouTube. Because that's where the money is. That's where you can start a career. I have enough TikTok followers that I feel like I can get them from here to YouTube. I can now make a YouTube channel, and then that'd be good. I've made a bunch of YouTube videos, mostly about cars. But the problem is, there's like a way oversaturation of car videos on YouTube. So I need to find something that not a lot of people do. I was thinking like doing book talk, but I don't want to do book reviews because that's not a thing. But my issue is like I could do book talk and like be like, you know, kind of do what I do on TikTok, but longer. But my concern is that I'll start and I'll run out of content really quick because I don't really know what to do. Do I talk about what book talk is, how to get popular on it, why? I don't know. I need ideas. I need people to comment below, be like, maybe you should just do this. Because like, you guys watch my content, right? Some of you. And some of you know what you like for me to do.
Do his job for him. Come up with all the ideas, tell him exactly what you want to see. He'll just be his pretty boy self.
And I need to take this short-winded content of randomness, narrow it, and make it longer. And I'm just not sure because I can't do car stuff. I can't do motorcycle reviews. I don't have access to them. But I want to get into content creation for long-windedness, but I don't know what. And how do I make the leap from here to there? And it's a struggle.
So setting aside the fact that he seems to not even know that BookTube is a thing, and yes, people do make reviews on BookTube. That's what most of it is. No, I'm not a TikTok person. I've just never gotten into it past using it to research videos and like respond to stuff. I pretty much only have it on my phone because people send them to me and I can't watch them if I don't have the app. But if it's anything like Instagram, a following on one platform does not necessarily translate to success on another. When I started my YouTube channel, I had about 12,000 followers on Instagram. And sure, maybe my content was just bad. It probably was. But it took me nearly 2 years to hit 1,000 subscribers. Obviously, that's just my own personal experience, but YouTube is hard. Especially when it comes to getting like subscribers, because people will watch a video, they'll love a video, and the algorithm will keep putting your videos in their feed and they won't even know they're not subscribed. And like subscribers on YouTube is pretty much a vanity metric. It's still nice to see, you know what I mean? So I decided to see if he ever did make a YouTube and if it went anywhere. And yeah, so at the time, I don't know how many followers he had at this time on his other platforms. I believe prior to this somewhere he had mentioned it being over 100,000, and as of today, he sits at 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. As I said, YouTube is hard. And as a generalization, I've found that a lot of the people who enjoy short form content don't necessarily enjoy long form as much. And, you know, a lot of you have told me you enjoy when my videos are long, and I'm right there with you. The longer, the better in my opinion, but it is a different audience. I wouldn't necessarily expect the book talk crowd to come flocking over to YouTube. And even the podcast that he does with a cosplayer named Stephen Walker only has 12.3K YouTube subs. And the reason I say only is because they have a combined following of over 2 million across all platforms. So I'm gonna say it again, YouTube is hard. I'm gonna skip ahead a little more because he posts like 2 or 3 videos a day every day, and a lot of it's really the same and just not relevant to what I'm critiquing. Mainly, little by little, his ego keeps getting bigger and his audience of mainly women is loving everything he does. You guys know, I think, that I really try to come at everything I talk about with a balanced view and not automatically assuming the worst of people. But his lack of humility and his main motivation seeming to be money just really rubs me the wrong way. I'm going to get more into content creators being paid and all of that later on. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about his specific financial situation, but the way he keeps just like begging for money is so off-putting and desperate feeling to me. So this next video was in mid-2025.
So I know I'm the like wannabe book boyfriend on this app, right? But here's the thing And none of these books have I read where they just like have to pay their student loans. Like there's no point where they're like, oh, I really want to go chase this woman in this supercar, but my credit card got denied.
I feel like if he just ended that video there, that would be like kind of a funny little tidbit of a TikTok. Like, you're right, that doesn't happen, you know? Observational comedy, but he decided to continue and do this, which I'm sure you get a hint from the text on the screen, but yeah.
So yeah, finances really slow you down. And I've talked about wanting to get more tattoos and wanting to upgrade my motorcycle and wanting to start using cars for my content. And most importantly, I want to hire a videographer so when I go to events, they can help me blog because that's something that a lot of people have expressed interest in. But the issue is that I don't make that much money to justify any of those things. So a lot of you have said that you would like to financially help. And so I started a GoFundMe. Don't feel any pressure to donate, but if you would like to support me and my content, because honestly right now I don't make a ton from how much I make, how much I post. So if you would like to donate, don't feel any pressure. If every one of you gave me $1, I could quit my job tomorrow, pay off all of my student loans, and do this full time. But don't feel like you have to. I don't know how to do this. The GoFundMe's in my bio. Give $1, give nothing. I don't care. Don't feel like you have to give anything. I thought I'd put this out there, you know? Oh, also, at some point I'll make a Patreon. I just haven't had time to do so. So this is like the in-between time.
So, yeah, you can give him your money on all kinds of websites. I'm gonna be fair here. He is obviously within his rights to make a GoFundMe, and people are within their rights to donate if that's how they like to spend their money. But the things that he mentions wanting the money for, what did he say? He wants to get into car stuff, so he needs car money. Motorcycles and like gear. He wants to pay a videographer so he can do vlogging. That's not really the purpose of GoFundMe. So here is a comment. This person says, how is getting a new tattoo? Oh yeah, and tattoos. How is getting a new tattoo and an upgraded motorcycle for content not just something you want? Yes, correct. But then there's people that say things like, what you need is a woman to make content with, and I'm totally available. If you make a Patreon, just don't ditch Insta completely. I love your content, can't afford Patreon. You know, I'm inclined to agree, you know, with this person that's like, how is this for your content? I guess he could write it off on his taxes. But asking people to pay for him to get a new motorcycle and tattoo so he can pretend he's a book character feels predatory. So I'm a little unclear on the exact timelines here, but as he mentioned, in addition to his merch for sale and his GoFundMe, he started an OnlyFans and a Patreon where you can pay him $3 for absolutely nothing in return. If you join the Good Girl Just Support tier for $3 a month, this comes with zero content, but some have expressed they want to help or support me with finances while I make content, so here is that. And what's included? General support. Or you can join the most popular tier, Golden Retriever, for $10 a month. Content that I can't post anywhere else. Videos that would be pushing rated R level and every other site would definitely ban me for. Okay. Yeah, again, I'm being judgmental. And yes, people are welcome to spend their money how they please. I just can't fathom. My judgment is on his side. I can't fathom asking people to pay me and give them nothing. Some of you have used the link I have in my profile that I did a long time ago for Buy Me a Coffee. And anyone that's done that, I very much appreciate it, but it's not something I'd ever solicit from people. I feel like I, again, am getting into like murky waters of something I'm gonna get into a little deeper later. So I'm gonna leave that alone for now. So yeah, right around the same time, we have another video, again, talking about money.
So I would truly love to make content full time. And I've thought about it. The only way I could really do it is if I get really into blogging, which I'm not very good at, or I get a lot of brand deals. But the problem is I'm a man who makes content for women. I don't know how I would sell things. Like yes, this is a lights out sweatshirt. I could easily sell this. Nevessa Allen has links in her profile if you want it. So like I can sell this, but like in general, it would be very hard for me to sell products to, like, what would I do? Like, would I be like, God, you know what I think? I think women that wear this specific brand of lipstick are so hot. Be a good girl for me. And buy this specific brand of short, like, how would I do that? Like, I make the, like, mass content, I'd be like, I only break into the house of women who buy the new pair of Nikes. Like, genuinely speaking, I would love to get more brand deals, but I also have no idea how I would do that. I need an agent and also somehow figure all this out.
I truly hope he's being silly and just like joking around here, because I don't even accept brand deals, and I know this is not how that works. I can almost guarantee a makeup brand is not going to be seeking him out for a sponsorship. They have actual makeup creators to do that. Why not look into motorcycle related brands? And honestly, well, yeah, he's shifted a lot towards books. He still was posting a lot of other random shit too. I don't think it would be that hard for him to figure out a way to make a lot of different brands work with his account. I don't think it'd be genuine at all, but he clearly isn't bothered by that. Yeah, I think he just wants attention. But wait, I forgot to show you another one of his revenue streams. For the low price of $33, you can get your very own peanut butter scammer cameo. There we are. Yep, for a birthday, a pep talk, a roast. I'll roast him. Personally, I would rather spend the extra $15 to get a cameo from Philadelphia Phillies broadcaster Tom McCarthy, Beans from Even Stevens, or the incomparable Shane Kipple, also known as Gavin Spinner Mason from Degrassi: The Next Generation. So the next year or so really just involves his popularity growing along with his ego. He started a podcast, like I briefly mentioned, of course he did, and got a girlfriend. So now I'm gonna skip ahead to what's currently going on. I believe this was on August 11th. It might have been August 10th. Again, the original post, of course, got deleted. And this is really what got everyone talking outside of the bike book talk space, who didn't know who he was.
Every smaller author keeps asking me to read their books and make content about them. So I'm going to start offering it.
Oh, okay, really? Every smaller author? This is one of the biggest issues with this video that I will discuss more once I let it play for more than 4 seconds.
It's going to be a $200 deposit for me to listen to the book. It has to be an audiobook. I'm sorry, I can't do physical books. I physically cannot sit down and read them. My ADHD is too terrible and I can't offer it. So $200 deposit to listen to the book, and then an extra $800 to post a video about it.
So recapping what he just said, he will listen to your audiobook that you've already spent a lot of money to produce for the perfectly reasonable price of $200. And then if he likes it, he'll make a short video about it once you pay him an additional $800.
And the reason I'm asking for the deposit is if I hate your book, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to make a video with my honest opinion of the book. So I will make the video, I will send it to the author and be like, hey, this is the video I made. I can post it or I can not post it. I'm not going to make an item.
Oh, good. So included in your $200 fee is him potentially ripping apart your life's work in less than a minute right in front of your face. And don't forget, he's going to send it straight to your inbox. I know we have this conversation constantly about telling authors things you don't like about their books and tagging them in negative reviews. And to me, this reads so out of touch with common practices in the book community. Like, Bud, do you even interact with the community outside of your podcast, bro? That is perhaps rule number 1 of online book etiquette. And if he's been around this world for 3 years, he should know better, or else he just doesn't care, which is an issue of its own.
But I avoided doing this for so long because I didn't want to upset people, but I'm poor.
Guess the cameos aren't flying off the shelf, so to speak.
I need the money. There's a lot of things I want to invest back into my content. I want to move out of this house. So I was trying to avoid this for a long time, but honestly, I'm kind of hurting. And right now, there's like no books that I'm dying to read at the moment.
This line has gotten a lot of attention because for most of us readers, there's always something we want to pick up. But reading slumps happen. I get it. What I would never do, though, and I advise everyone else to do the same, is ask someone to spend a minimum of $200 for the honor of maybe enjoying a book that they wrote.
So I'm opening this up now for anyone that wants to do it. $200 deposit, an extra $800 for me to post the video I make. It'll be the same video posted on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and Snapchat. It'll be under 3 minutes long. You might get more content out of it if I love the book, or if the book's really crazy or anything like that. But guaranteed one of the same thing posted across all platforms, and I average around 40,000 views per video spread out across all platforms.
All right. We gotta talk about this. So I actually sat down and did the math because I was curious. And across Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and Snapchat, he has right around 1.2 million followers. And he gets 40,000 views per video across all platforms. He said those exact words. I am not interpreting them that way. That is what he said. And I'm not trying to be a butthead, but that is actually horrible. This is fully my opinion, and maybe this is unpopular, but short form content is perhaps the lowest effort to make. That is a huge generalization, of course, but I think it applies in his case. He thinks that 3% of his audience seeing his video about your book is worth $1,000. Indie authors, come here, listen to me. Fill out the form in my bio and I will talk about your book for free. It might take a couple days, maybe a week, but I can guarantee that 40,000 people will see it. It is crazy for him to just come out and admit that. Granted, we can all see the view count, but he just said it out loud and proud. I am almost impressed with the candor, almost.
Maybe I'll get more, depending on how good the book is, depending on how good the video does. I don't know, but that's what I'm offering. If you want to do that, send me an email. We'll figure it out. But this is how I'm gonna do it because I need new books to read. I'm poor, and people really want to get their books out there. So this is how I'm gonna do it. And we're gonna stick with this rate for a bit, unless I get like 1,000 requests. If I get like a ton of requests, I might up it some. But this seems reasonable to me. Comment if this seems really unreasonable. I don't know. I mean, it's like gonna be like 13 hours worth of work between listening to the book, writing notes, recording the video. So it's not like I'm balling out on that, you know.
And then this is the post that he made with that, at least on Threads. Everything was already deleted by the time I started seeing stuff pop up. So I'm not sure what his post might have said on other platforms. It says, email is in my bio. This is going to be a trial run because I want to try to do this, but we will see. And then he used a bunch of hashtags. Do people still use hashtags? I thought those were obsolete. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I feel like it needs to be pointed out that book reviews are not even his main content. I would say maybe 2/3 of his content is even book related. And then of that, probably only 1/3 or so is reviews. Someone else is going to have to figure out the math there for me. So here are my thoughts. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to be paid for your time or for promoting something on your platform. However, the way he went about this is where the bulk of my issues are. $1,000 is a lot of money for most people. And many, if not most, indie authors are not making bank from their books. Fuck capitalism always. If people want to pay that much, that's their choice. My concern is that new authors might not realize that that's not normal. So, while I hope they would do more research into things before they drop that amount of money, I could easily see someone thinking, oh, okay, I guess this is just an investment I have to make. And it's really, really not. I'm going to talk about myself for a moment. Full disclosure, and a lot of you already know this because I'm not shy about it, I make money on YouTube from the partner program, and I do pretty well. I am not quitting my full-time job or anything, but it has certainly helped my husband and I live more comfortably. And I work really, really hard. And I don't say this for a pat on the back or anything like at all. Just to say that I'm fully in agreement that creating content is work. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking brand deals from companies you believe in and stand behind. I do think it gets into unsavory territory when he's asking his following to support his lifestyle. I know people can do whatever they want to with their money, but it isn't like he's an English scholar being paid for his superior insight of literature. He's just a guy. I hope this doesn't come off as self-righteous, or I hope it makes sense. I really don't mean for it to come off that way. My anti-capitalist mindset is always just like, make the platforms and the sponsors pay you, not your direct audience. He has made his career off of a space dominated by women and femmes, and while he may also enjoy the books he's reading, if you took away all social media opportunities for fame and or making money, I don't think he would be interested in being in the book community anymore. And that absolutely does not mean that I think cis-het men are never welcome. I just think his motivations are not pure. And that's simply my opinion based on what I've seen and heard, and from someone whose opinion should be taken with a grain of salt, as I don't consider myself a member of the romance book community, just a supporter. So the reaction was swift and fierce, and a guy who was generally seen as wholesome and unproblematic in the book talk world started his fall from grace as folks came out of the woodwork with stories. So in the next part of the video, I'm going to share a couple of threads from other folks. Now, I have not fact-checked these stories, and while I have no reason to believe they would be lying, I just want that to be kept in mind. So Will Write for Coffee says, okay, F it, we ball, let's do this. So about a year ago, my book, Black and Silver, was included in a book box. Smut Sluts for anyone interested in getting goodies and toys with their books. They sent promo boxes to several book talkers. PB was one of them. He did a classic unboxing where he showed the toys and goodies and talked about what was included in the box. Then he finally got to the book, my book. I don't think he said my name when reading the cover, and made a comment about how his followers had been mad at him in the last video because he didn't read the blurb on the back of the book in a book box video. So he guessed he should do that for this one. He read the blurb aloud, pretty rushed, stumbled over his words, was kind of monotone, and then tossed the book back into the box and carried on talking about the handcuffs that had been included. He didn't give his opinion on the book or his thoughts about whether it looked interesting, which is fine to be honest, but I thought it was odd that a bookish creator wouldn't even attempt to look engaged when discussing books. And his obvious, whatever, here's the book attitude, accompanied by seeing him toss my book around, was very discomforting. So what did 10 seconds of him reading the blurb poorly on camera get me? Honestly, I did see a rise in sales, but he wasn't the only book talker who got a copy of my book and talked about it. 3 other people did, and not only were they extremely nice and complimentary, they also engaged with their audiences. They were in their comment sections talking about shock books. Mr. 1K Reviews didn't do anything like that. He mentioned the handcuffs more than any books, mine or other authors. I took a quick scroll through his stuff and noticed he really didn't engage with people. At all. Unless they were flirting with him or talking about his other content. It was icky and odd. Why be a part of a community you don't actually seem that invested in? Don't answer that, it was rhetorical. Anyway, TLDR, he made a video with my book, and maybe it helped move the needle, but probably what helped more were the 3 other femme creators who put in 100 times more effort. Fiend. I actually did end up seeing this video, and yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it went. I saw the video before I screenshotted this story, so I'm not gonna go back and find it, but because good lord, this man posts a lot of videos with absolutely nothing distinguishing in the cover photos, but I can actually corroborate this one. So here is another, author C.A. Burkhart, I believe. I had the extreme displeasure of being at 3 events with PB Squamer, and at each event, he never talks to the authors, never introduces himself, and he just sits around and waits for people to take pictures with him. He could do so much for indie authors, but he makes the conscious decision to not engage with them at the events he's invited to. Well, we all have to pay to be there to sell our books. In my opinion, he is a grifter. Block and move on, don't give him any more attention. Oops. And then Percy J, she's been on several of my videos, has a lot of good takes. She will, yeah. Begging on the internet for $1,000 tracks because this is the same guy who loitered around my table at a Million Lives pretending he was famous and then hopped into our TikTok live where we were trying to raise funds for a Million Lives victims. And he was soliciting live gifts for himself. I literally yelled at people to stop spending money on the live and instead buy a single ebook from an effective author. And he clearly didn't like being called out. So I'll call him out again. I don't give a fuck. Stop it. The way I was waiting for the joke, turns out the joke was him. I could truly sit here all day with different stories people have shared, but I still have some stuff to cover. One thing that started to come up quite a bit was author Nevessa Allen's sort of alluding to this behavior in the past. Some background. I think it's fair to say that Nevessa's Into Darkness series is what got our little Reese's Cup into books to begin with. Once he started to gain popularity, the book talk women were like, fan casting him as the book's male lead Josh, to a point that it got pretty weird, and he did nothing to mitigate that weirdness. So here is an example.
This is a video for Nevessa Allen. Listen, I know we message sometimes, and I consider us acquaintances, even though we've never met in person, but we've DM'd enough. I have signed in the last probably 2 weeks, I would say 200 to 300 copies of Lights Out in some way. Either the special edition or the regular edition, whatever. And I'm sorry. Part of me, actually not even part of me, a lot of me feels bad because I didn't do anything for this book. It is your brainchild, it is your mind, it is your amazing creation. But I did a bunch of the Lights Out character, and I'm a TikTok dude, so a lot of people think I'm Josh, and so they bring me Lights Out copies. And I hope that you're taking that as, oh, great, people are buying my book, and not this dude is trying to take credit for something he had nothing to do with, because that's not my goal, and I've made that clear to everybody that makes me sign it. Not makes me. I love signing things. It's weird to me that I sign things, but still, hope that's okay. Love your books. Thanks.
One other thing to note, just when talking about how low effort everything he does is that, so we get the captions, right? He couldn't even correct what it said. He couldn't even proofread the captions that it was going to have on the screen to make sure her name was spelled correctly. Because her name is not Vanessa, it's Nevessa. I just think that is evident where his priorities are. So back to the actual content of the video. She was not the biggest fan of this, you could say. I've never written a book. I can't speak from experience, but if I had the hell if a random TikTok guy is gonna put his name on my hours upon hours of work. Absolutely fucking not. Ignorance is one thing, but he clearly knows this is really not an acceptable practice, and yet he says tee-hee and does it anyway. Well, it turns out she's been subtly calling him out for a while. Back in May, she said, while we're talking about problematic men in the book community, I am begging readers to take a deeper look at the cishet white male influencers in our spaces. I've made the mistake of working with some of them in the past or reposting their Josh cosplays, and when I tell you never again, it's for fucking reasons. And someone replied to her, I had one of these popular men come to my table at an event last year, and the level of arrogant confidence that he had telling me how much he could make my book blow up if he chose to talk about it on his page. And then Emily B. Rose says, last year at an event, I had one come to my table and brag about all the authors he was best friends with, including Nevessa, and how he was hanging out in their hotel rooms with them, and so shocked that I didn't already know who he was and was all overly fake humble. Then he accidentally formed a small line directly in front of my table of women waiting to take pictures with him. My alarm bells are telling me we likely interacted with the same person. He clearly puts on all the charm with the fans, but when it comes to authors, he's, well... This has to be so incredibly validating for her, and I'm honestly so happy for that. So then, When this all came out, she says, over a year ago, I told him to stop signing my books and then I blocked him, only to find out he just kept signing them. Lit with Reagan said, this is insanity and also definitely not what I pictured in my brain for Josh. WTF. Right, because I was like, Josh, where? Nowhere to be found over there. I can't speak on that either way. Don't know the book. But not everyone saw a problem with this. Kelly Castro says, I fail to understand the problem. People are aware he's not the narrator in the audiobooks. He engages in skits about the books and provides reviews. He explicitly informs people that I'm not him. If they wish to have his signature on the book, they should be allowed to do so. After all, they purchased the book and it's no longer anyone's or the author's property. Yes, he doesn't resemble Josh, not even remotely. However, it brings joy to people to receive his signature. And then Hey It's Kat says, because it's fucking weird. Why would she want someone signing her books when he has absolutely nothing to do with it? He isn't the character or who she based him off of. He's just self-proclaimed. And it's practically him taking credit for her work, and that's absolutely offensive to the actual author of the book. Another comment says, it's weird as fuck because he's profiting off the creativity and hard work of a woman. He had nothing to do with those books. Nevessa has every right to ask him to stop because it's weird. That's her work. Also weird that people are asking him to sign your books. Yeah. The question is, why does anyone want his signature? There is no way on God's earth that people think he's Josh. Are you kidding me? No. While nearly everything I came across regarding him on my pages had the same views that I do, there are plenty of women who don't see anything wrong with what he's done here, and apparently a few with some deep-seated hatred for Nevessa, which seems, I don't know. This is something she posted back in June. Had a post go live yesterday, and the comment section is overwhelmingly negative. I have a thick skin, but it still sucks, and I feel terrible for the artists and designers that spent months creating a version of Into Darkness that is so unique compared to other options. So just remember that there are people on the other side of that post, and there's a line between verbalizing dislike and being unnecessarily cruel. That's just a post. I think that this next comment really didn't have anything to do with that, but it was just like they found that to kind of latch onto. Weird Turtle Cosplay said, that's rich, coming from a toxic misandrist like yourself. I guess you're loving all the hate PB is getting. Wish I never read your books, won't read any others of yours. You're what's wrong with the bookish community and why it's become so toxic. By the way, people are allowed to ask anyone to sign any book they buy because once they buy it, it is theirs to do with as they wish. Can't wait for all the man haters to come for me over this. God forbid there are men in the book community. And then Bookish Corvid, we love you. Ew, fuck off, you self-important potato. Who the fuck are you again? You can't really see it, but Nefessa wrote down here, has he picked you yet? So yeah, this male-centered dork made an entire post about her on her own page. She said, Nevessa Allen is what's wrong with the bookish community, and we need less toxicity in the community, and her toxic misandrist views are disgusting. If it was up to her, there would probably be no men in the book community. I feel sorry for her husband. Misandry, in my mind, is pretty much equivalent to like reverse racism. So I'm not even going there. But women like her are still just like throwing themselves all over him, and I feel embarrassed for them. There is no shortage of opinions on this subject. I'm not going to share any more, but they're very easy to find if you find yourself looking for more. So now another whole part of this drama came when an event called Book Boyfriend Bash USA made the following story on Instagram. Now this was an event that he was scheduled to attend at the end of August. We want to ask our community something before we make a decision regarding PB's attendance. If we ultimately disinvite PB, our small business would be responsible for nearly $3,000 in appearance fees and travel expenses already committed. We're considering starting a GoFundMe to help offset those costs. Would you guys be willing to donate or share if we move forward with it? Absolutely no pressure. We just want to understand what support might look like before making such a big decision. One more question. If you guys prefer to see just Nikki attend if PB is disinvited. And then there's options. Would you donate? Yes, no, yes, and Nikki. No, we don't care if he is in attendance. So Nikki's another content creator that works with Skippy a lot and appears on his podcast sometimes, but that's about as far as my knowledge on her goes. Anyhow, this story opened up an entirely different conversation. What do you mean? Between his appearance fees and his travel expenses being paid for totaled nearly $3,000. And then instead of just saying, hey, we don't agree with this guy and we don't want him at our event, they wanted to see if their community, who have likely already shelled out a lot of money to attend this event, help them recoup the money. A lot of folks were shocked to find that influencers were being paid to attend big book events, and that thousands of dollars at that. On the whole, this post did not go over well, and then it prompted them to make this one. A statement from the Book Boyfriend Bash team regarding the poll. We want to sincerely apologize for our previous post and the poll we shared asking attendees for their opinions while also attaching a monetary value to the situation. We understand now that this was not the right way to approach it, and we are sorry for how it came across. We never intended to minimize anyone's concerns or make it seem like those concerns could be weighed against a dollar amount. This is only our second Book Boyfriend Bash, and while we truly thought we had learned from last year, we are realizing there is always more to learn and grow from. We are a small indie bookstore navigating an event that has grown far beyond what we initially imagined, and we won't pretend we'll always get everything right. We also want to apologize to anyone who felt our actions made Book Boyfriend Bash seem money-driven. That has never been our goal. We created this event because we wanted readers to meet every version of their book boyfriend, and we reach out to authors, models, narrators, and creators because we want to bring the people our attendees are excited about to Midland. We are also learning about the situations and conversations within the larger book community that we were previously unaware of, particularly because we haven't been active on Threads or many of those spaces. This isn't an excuse, but we are listening and learning, always. We are truly sorry for how our previous post and poll made people feel. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time to share concerns, educate us, and give us the opportunity to do better. The Book Boyfriend Bash team, and naturally, comments are turned off. I'm not trying to put this event on blast. I'm truly not. This whole thing was a bad look, though. I do think it's good that folks maybe, got a little more transparency on some of what their ticket fees go to, since it seems like a lot of people were unclear. Ultimately, Extra Crunchy was disinvited, and honestly, this image is kind of savage. Book Boyfriend Box, disinvited. PB, Squamer, disinvited influencer. Yeah. So, the other slides say, a statement from the Book Boyfriend Bash team. We know there's been a lot of conversation surrounding Book Boyfriend Bash and our decision regarding PB Squamer, so we want to address it directly. First and foremost, we are an independent bookstore. Book Boyfriend Bash is not backed by a large corporation or event company with an unlimited budget. It is something our small team created because we genuinely love this community and wanted to create an event where readers could meet every version of their book boyfriend. The authors who wrote them, the narrators who brought them to life, the models who represent them, and the people behind the characters we all obsess over. I really could not tell you which one of those things he is, because he's contributed absolutely nothing to any character coming to life outside of some delusional women on Book Talk's brains, but we also want to be transparent about the financial side of this decision. PB Squamer's contracted appearance fee was $2,000, and with his required travel, room, and board, his participation would have cost us approximately $3,000. Even though we have canceled his appearance, we're still honoring the full $2,000 contractual appearance fee. We take our contract seriously, and we aren't going to use a difficult situation as a reason to withhold money that is contractually owed. At the same time, honoring a contract does not mean we have to continue an appearance that we no longer feels aligns with the environment we are trying to create. This feels like such a strange way of approaching this, because it kind of sounds like they want a pat on the back for being, for taking him out of their event, when literally, like, they were asking if people wanted them to. It wasn't like they were like, well, naturally. I'm being mean, or I guess like overly critical. Additionally, that money's gone. You were already, that $3,000 is gone. You've already accounted for it. Why would you ask someone else to pay it? One way or another, it wasn't going to be in your bank account anymore. And it sucks, but that's what the people asked. That's what they preferred. Next slide. This decision was not made because we wanted to save $3,000. We have never been in this event for the money. If making money were our priority, there are much easier ways for an independent bookstore to spend its time and resources. This year alone, we have put approximately $80,000 into Book Boyfriend Bash, because we believe in what we are trying to create. That is a huge amount of money for an indie bookstore, and every dollar comes from our business. There isn't a massive company behind us to absorb unexpected costs or losses. When something happens, it affects our bookstore, our employees, and our ability to continue putting on events like this. We understand that not everyone is going to agree with this decision, and honestly, we have reached a point where we understand that we may never be able to make the entire book community happy. If we cancel someone, there will be people we think we should have done sooner. If we don't cancel someone, there will be people who think we should have. There will always be someone who feels we handled something incorrectly, and we understand that comes with putting on an event of this size. What we can do is make the best decisions we can with the information and circumstances in front of us while trying to protect the community, the event, and the bookstore behind it. We're not saying we have handled every situation perfectly, and we are always willing to listen and learn. But we also cannot continue to absorb thousands of dollars in unexpected costs as though we are a massive event company. We are an indie bookstore, and there's a very real limit to what we can financially sustain while keeping our doors open and continuing to create events for this community. At the end of the day, our intentions with Book Boyfriend Bash have never changed. We wanted to create something fun, different, and special for romance readers. We wanted you to be able to meet every version of the book boyfriends you love and have an experience you couldn't get anywhere else. I don't know what's meant by that, but if it is meant like I'm reading it, I don't like it. We aren't trying to get rich off of this event, and we never have been. We simply love books, romance, and this community, and we have poured an incredible amount of ourselves into making this happen. We may not make everyone happy, we understand that. But we will continue making the decisions we believe are right for our attendees, authors, vendors, staff, our bookstore, and the future of Book Boyfriend Bash. We just hope people can remember that there are real people and a small independent business behind this event who are doing their best to make something incredible for the community we love. And again, comments turned off. You know what? That's their choice. Reiterating, I'm not trying to shame this event in particular, but this was the catalyst for a lot of folks to realize that events they're paying hundreds of dollars to attend as authors and as just attendees are seeing influencers making their entire mortgage payment in one weekend. I already did a whole thing about how, people should be paid for their time and all of that, but the disparity is a problem as I see it. And from some of what people have shared, Smooth and Creamy didn't even interact much with anyone who wasn't showering him with praise. Book events don't exist without the authors that write the books. And I know there's plenty of big name authors that get paid to be at events too, but I don't feel like I need to explain the difference between the contributions to the book world of authors versus influencers. So, right on schedule, we get the apology video we never asked for.
So I messed up. A couple days ago, I posted a video saying I wanted to work with small authors on doing a review for their books for a fee. I've gotten really overwhelmed lately with the amount of emails, DMs, and books being sent to me in my PO box, asking for content, asking for shout outs, asking for something.
So fun fact, you can just politely decline. I do it all the time. It is actually not hard at all.
And I know a lot of other bookish content creators get paid to make content for authors. So I said, okay, let's open up an avenue to do that. And I didn't take 2 seconds to plan or think about how it was going to be done. So I just posted that and I was like, well, let's see what people think.
Low effort content. Maybe next time you should consider taking a few seconds to think about what you post before posting it, instead of being so concerned with your quota of 3 to 4 TikToks per day. Another thing of note, getting paid to create content for authors is not the same as asking to be paid for a book review that you may or may not even end up posting.
Yeah, and the answer was people really hated that. The video came off entitled and a bunch of other things, which is not my intention. I come on here and I try to be as honest as possible. I have no PR training and I'm just trying to make content. Everything I say is, I try to be as genuine as possible. I don't try to make this anything that it's not. So I try to be open. I have been doing book content for 3 years, and authors don't pay me to make the content. I do this because I love making the content.
I have to say, if that is really how he feels, he does a bad job of making that clear. He seems so concerned with making money, and he's very open about that this does not check out. It doesn't check out to me. And again, in fairness, I want to remind you that I showed you, I highlighted the videos where he was really talking about money, begging for money, whatever, but nobody made him post those.
I have all of these ADHD thoughts in my head and I just want to get them out. And a couple years ago I said, well, I walked into a Barnes & Noble, found ACOTAR, and I fell in love, absolutely in love with romantasy, dark romance, and more recently things like Dungeon Crawler Carl and Red Rising and things like that. But
You fell in love with ACOTAR because you went to Barnes & Noble to meet women. Documented on the internet, but carry on.
Genuinely love the books. I love the community, and I love the people I've met at events. And it is never my intention to take advantage of an author who is struggling to get out or figure things out or anything like that. That has never been my goal. I mean, everyone is struggling to figure out any business in this world, and I would love to make content for authors, and I'd also like to get paid for it. I'm not doing that now, for sure. No, not doing that now. I'll be taking a step back from events for a couple of months.
So glad that you made that decision that had absolutely nothing to do with being asked not to attend by the organizers. Good, brava.
At least. But I would like to continue to make bookish content and book creations and figure out an avenue to make this work. If you guys don't want to see that, that's fine. You don't have to watch them or follow me. I get it. It was never my intention to hurt anybody any indie authors or anything like that. I've never once accepted payment from an author that had faith in me but couldn't afford the payments, right? Like that was never my goal. I've gotten advice from content creators and tons of other people in the bookish space on how to handle this, and all of the answers were just be as genuine as possible, and that is my goal. I'm sorry for anybody I hurt. I'm sorry for anybody I upset. That was never my intention. I just wanted to, it's one of those things where it's like, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I love making content. So I was just trying to find another business avenue to make that happen. So again, I'm sorry for all that. I love all of my followers. I appreciate everybody that has watched me for this long. And I really hope that I can continue, but I understand if people don't want to watch me anymore. I will say, don't go after any of the events I was supposed to be at, any of the people I interact with, or anything like that. They had nothing to do with this. Clearly I didn't consult anybody before posting any kind of videos or at least the last one. So again, I'm sorry. I hope that I can move on from this.
So you tell me if you think this is a genuine apology. It's not my apology to accept anyways, but I feel like he's trying to get this over with as quickly as possible. I don't really see a guy who regrets his actions so much as a guy who is doing damage control and not even doing it well, might I add. He seems annoyed that he's making this video at all. Now, unfortunately for his friend and podcast co-host Steven, people are now starting to wonder if he actually is the same type of person as PB Blaster. So he had to respond as well.
Hello, about to head to the old day job, but first I'd bring this up because there's a lot of discourse going around the bookish space about my friend and a video that they made, and I'm getting pulled into it now. Was I a fan of the video? No. I thought the tone was bad. I thought the message was bad. I thought the language it just wasn't a good video. And I've already told him this, so he knows my opinion. If he was to send me that video before he posted it, I would have said, do not post this, you freaking goof nut. I do think what he was trying to do, and I can't speak for him, he was going to have to speak for himself. I think what he was trying to do is enter into some sort of paid promotionals working with authors. A lot of bookish influencers are doing that. So they get with an author, they promote their book, they don't review their book, that's illegal. They don't pay for a review, they don't pay for a rating or whatnot, they just pay for promotion. Similar to like if you're driving past a billboard, if you turn on a commercial, it's essentially a promotional. So people work with influencers to help push their book, not reviewing it, but just to get it in front of all the people. So I think that's what he was trying to do. I don't know for sure, though. You have to hear it from his mouth. But there is a difference between a paid review and a paid promotional. The first is illegal. The second is hopefully helpful to the author because there's a lot of good works out there that don't see the light of day because nobody knows about them. So sometimes influencers promote books. I personally am not going to bash my friend. What kind of a friend would I be if my friend makes a mistake and all of a sudden I just cut him off? Now I'm going to continue to love on this person because they've been there for me in some really hard times as well. But for me specifically, because I can only speak for myself, I love books. I love reading. I hope that's apparent in my content. I love being silly and being comedic and talking about books in that way. I love physical books. I love audiobooks. I love indie authors. I love going to bookstores. I love promoting people's work. Every time I go to an event, I make it my goal to walk through the area where everybody's selling their books and make some sort of Instagram or Facebook story with them, promoting their work. I love promoting other people's work, and I've never got a dime from an author for doing that. I cannot speak for anybody else but myself. I love reading books. I love making videos. And if you love my content, I encourage you to stick around. If you don't, that's fine. I realize I'm not for everybody. At the end of the day, unfortunately, I am a people pleaser. I know it doesn't come across in my content because I have this chipper vibe, but everything gets to me. I'm such an empathetic person, to my own detriment sometimes. So I love talking about books, as I said, and I'm going to keep doing that. If you want to stick around as I do that, please do so. If you don't, then please leave. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I think I've helped a lot of people along the way. I want to keep doing that. At the end of the day, all I want is to provide some sort of blip of joy to the world in this horrific thing called life. So if you're interested in me continuing to do that, stick around. If not, that's fine. You can find other influencers. But either way, much love, and I'll see you in the next video. Smash.
Just to be clear, I'm not like vouching for this guy. I literally don't know anything about him. But I kind of figured that there would probably be some people asking questions about it, so I thought I would include his video. Personally, I think this was a decent response to the whole thing. I'm glad he came out. He did not make excuses for his friend. I think at least professionally, I would want to distance myself at least for a while, but to each his own. One thing that has been said a lot and is incorrect and has been annoying me is that it's illegal to be paid for a review. It's illegal to be paid for a positive review. But most of the time, these offers just say in exchange for an honest review. I just want to clear that up. Being paid for giving your honest thoughts on something with the proper disclosure that you are being paid is perfectly legal. So there are a lot more stories coming out about him, and I'm sure he'll be back before long. So this is a story I absolutely plan to update on, probably in the near future. I'm going to close it out with a few Fred's posts that I think were really well said. So Ivy Morgan, author, said, "It's very clear you do not care about this community the way you claim you do. You specifically targeted small indie authors with this, authors who are already spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just to get a book written, edited, covered, formatted, marketed, and into readers' hands. Most of us see very little of that money come back, especially in the beginning. And yet you thought charging $1,000 for a book review is reasonable because you have a following. But it gets worse when the requirement is that it has to be an audiobook because you don't have the time or capacity to sit down and physically read the book. Do you understand how expensive audiobook production is for an indie author? Before someone can even pay you for the $1,000 for the privilege of receiving your review, they also need to have spent hundreds or thousands producing an audiobook in the first place. You talked about your own financial situation as justification for wanting to make money from your platform, while completely ignoring the financial reality of the exact authors you were trying to charge. That is what bothers me most. Indie authors are constantly told how important community is. We support reviewers, we send free books, we send ARCs, we share posts, we recommend accounts, we celebrate the people who genuinely love and advocate for indie books. There's absolutely nothing wrong with creators being compensated for their work either. But $1,000 for a review targeted towards small indie authors is not community support. And the apology afterward doesn't change how the original video came across. It feels disingenuous because the original video showed exactly how you viewed the situation before the backlash started. Taking the video down doesn't erase what was said or how casually it was said. You can apologize for the delivery. You can apologize because people got angry, but you can't expect everyone to forget the attitude behind it simply because the video is gone. Small indie authors are not walking dollar signs because you built a following." I just appreciated that post. One more. So I really liked that guy's Book Boyfriend Emergency Hotline series a million years ago and followed him for a good while. That was something he did over on TikTok. But the content turned from a guy with a decent sense of humor who seemed to like and be part of the community to one who felt entitled to the support of the community and had started to resent them at the same time. The evolution was weird, and the more events he attended as talent, the worse it got. He started to pair up with other content creators who also seemed to mock the very readers who were making them money, and I tapped out. The whole cosplay thing wasn't my bag anyway, especially when no one asked him to do that, and it only seemed to get worse from there. The latest blatant cash grab is especially wild, and yet also completely predictable. It's one of those not surprising but still disappointing villain reveals. I hope his cancellation sticks. Yeah, let's not forget, he took it upon himself to cosplay as like the book boyfriend or whatever. Like, he is the one who decided that he was some hot shit in the book world. Meanwhile, keeping this like fake humble persona when his actions clearly showed that his head could not be farther up his own ass. Did I just put a target on my back for his, let's say, enthusiastic fans? Maybe. But I hope I've made it clear in this video, and others, how much I care about indie authors and readers and how much I just hate to see them being taken advantage of. I think the vast majority of the bookish internet feels the same way. And I think for that reason, there are certainly positives to the situation. Again, I know I'm gonna come back to see where he goes from here. So stay tuned for that. But what we can all take away from this is just be a genuine person and treat people like people and not like ATMs, and you will be on the right track. So today I am featuring dark paranormal romance author Kathryn Fay. Kathryn Fay is the Shadows in Ink pseudonym of a husband and wife writing duo bound by a shared obsession with the dark, the macabre, and love stories that bleed beyond the veil. They live in Baltimore, Maryland, and pass a ton of time haunting the halls of local museums at the Maryland Renaissance Festival and as a teacher and a librarian. They love to explore the haunted sites of the city with their young daughter, and this eerie landscape inspires much of their dark paranormal romances. Their debut novel, Immerata, was published in June of 2026. And here is the synopsis. Between the living and the dead are Deathwalkers, empowered with supernatural abilities to protect the cycle of rebirth from the corrosive revenants. However, each is born with only half their soul and will themselves corrode in body and mind unless they find Immerata before it's too late. Shawnee. My parents died trying to uncover the tomb of an Egyptian queen, and I vowed to continue their quest. However, I didn't expect a ghost to attack during the unveiling of my discovery at the Smithsonian, nor the Grim Reaper who saved me. When we touched, I lived his past and he lived mine. Nikolai Vladimirovich why was he at my presentation? And why does my adopted father warn me about loving this stranger? Will I have to fight Nikolai to keep my family's discovery? Or will I let my family be forgotten because I'm falling in love with him? Nikolai. Being a Deathwalker, created to protect humans from murderous ghosts, I've been ordered to retrieve a dangerous tome from an ancient queen's remains at all costs. When I arrived at the presentation for this queen, a reverend attacked. I didn't expect the woman on stage to be the other half of my soul, and certainly not to fall in love. Yet here I am, in her row home, trying to make sense of her life. Shawnee Dubois, I'm torn between my general's command and my duty to love. Will I sabotage Immerata or betray my leader? How deep will love go until loyalty breaks? Down in the description will be a link to purchase Kathryn's book, along with their social media links. Indie authors are a vital part of the bookish community, and don't you forget it. So try to support them wherever you can, not charge them $1,000, even if that just means a follow on social media. And if you would like the chance to be a featured indie author, there's a form down in the description. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would. Check out my Discord if you'd like to join us over there. It really is a lot of fun. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!